Now for the final question of the day. So this is a question we're asking everyone on this series, and I think it flows in quite nicely what we've talked about throughout our conversation. Actually, what do you think the role of ethics is in HR and maybe in HR technology?
Yeah, so Ivory and I were talking, we actually talk about this all the time. It comes up just organically because it's a really interesting partnership between our two roles. HR is in a position where, we need to think about how a decision or a change in direction impacts the team, impacts the company, right? But of course, we also want to take into account an individual, and ultimately we want to do the best by everyone that we possibly can. And it's really tough. I think whatever is done, there is often a perspective that it wasn't the best decision for the individual or for the team or the company. And so it's not so clear. There's not always a right decision, wrong decision. There's the ambiguity there. And I think the partnership is really key, because we need to talk about all angles and then figure out the best possible outcome. And so, we make sure that when we're making a decision around a person, or, changing the structure of a team, for example, changing the way we do work, that we're thinking about the individual, team, and company level, and just hashing it out in terms of what is the best possible outcome for everyone.
And anything you'd like to add to that, Ivory? I guess a lot of what you talked about around the fairness element of what you're doing is really around good ethics, really.
Yeah, I definitely think it's interesting. Even when I started at Charthop, I quickly began to see that employees really trusted DIB as this safe space. And it was very interesting to see that. And I think that just speaks to diversity, equity, inclusion, and belonging in general, that the workforce sees this as kind of this safe space, and having more of like an ethical responsibility for people. But I also think the partnership between Emily and I really helps us to balance how do we support our people in the right way, but also how do we also support the business. So it's a really great partnership, and it's very, very interesting to see it come to life.
In this series, we will be speaking to a range of senior leaders who are pushing a data-driven and digital HR agenda. Make sure that you subscribe via your podcast app of choice, and also via our YouTube channel for free and regular interviews with the digital HR leaders of the future.